It's Wednesday, March 8th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including the approval of a large-scale development in Shelton despite neighbor pushback, a student arrested for an alleged threat in Norwalk, and disease showing up locally that could be lethal for your pet. Frank Granito will have a look at the forecast and later on a Nutmeg Sports Update, and Donald Eng will join us to take a look back on this day in history. But first, big news in Shelton this morning. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved the massive town center at Shelter Ridge development, drawing boos from opponents in the audience last night. About 60 residents opposed to that application filled the City Hall council chambers for the vote, many of them carrying handmade signs denouncing the project, so saying vote for Shelton, not for developers. Another sign read, "Stop corporate greed." The Planning and Zoning Commission approved the application to create a planned development district in a 4-2 vote. Shelter Ridge will include retail, medical, commercial, professional, and restaurant space, as well as a 375-unit apartment building. Some have called it the largest development ever in Fairfield County. The 121-acre site is now owned by the Wells family and located in a mostly light industrial zone with a small rear portion zoned for residential use. That property borders Bridgeport Avenue, Mill Street, and Buddington Road and is near Old Kings Highway. Project supporter and P&Z alternate Ned Miller said, "I've never seen a project more scrutinized than this one," adding that he remembers the hysteria when a developer named Bob Cinto first began pursuing development here in Shelton. Commissioner Jimmy Tickey voted no because he said Shelter Ridge would destroy open land enjoyed by generations of people, negatively impact a hiking trail and Mill Street's scenic road designation, as well as have an effect on traffic. You can get a lot more on that story at sheltonherald.com. And a 14-year-old Bryan McMahon High School student was arrested Tuesday at the school on allegations of making an illustration perceived as threatening and including a list of students and staff that might be subject to that threat. Hearst, Connecticut media reports the unidentified juvenile was charged with 21 counts of breach of peace, apparently indicating 21 people that were on the list. Lieutenant Terrence Blake, a police spokesman, said the school's administration contacted Bryan McMahon, resource officer, about that matter. The school resource officer and investigators from the Special Victims Unit then initiated an investigation and obtained the illustration and list. Blake said the student was arrested and that investigators determined that the student did not have the means to carry out that threat. SVU investigators notified all of the individuals on the list, and the student was released to parents and is to appear in Bridgeport Juvenile Court. And in other news, a 22-year-old man has been arrested in what West Haven police say was an assault of a 3-year-old child. 22-year-old Esteban Nieves of Arch Street, New Haven, was charged with first-degree assault and third-degree assault, as well as risk of injury to a minor and violation of probation. Nieves' arrest follows an investigation of physical abuse case that began on February 25th. That evening, paramedics arrived at 370 Highland Street and transported a 3-year-old child to an emergency room, suffering from serious injuries. West Haven police said in a statement that trauma physicians concluded that those injuries were consistent with an assault. Detectives were assigned and developed information to substantiate criminal involvement. Nieves is being held behind bars pending his arraignment. And a West Haven man was arrested in Stamford on March 5th after allegedly attempting to engage police in pursuit across multiple Connecticut towns, including Darien. A Darien police officer attempted to stop a car traveling as fast as 55 miles per hour along the Boston Post Road, Ledge Road, and West Avenue during the morning of March 5th. That vehicle allegedly led the officer through the roundabout turn at the intersection of the Post Road and Ledge before getting onto the highway where that officer ended the pursuit. That car was again observed traveling on the Post Road, but officers opted not to follow the driver, believing a high-speed chase would only increase the chance of danger. They notified neighboring law enforcement branches at the car's description. Stamford police would later encounter the same driver on Hoyt Street in Stamford and track the car to the city line. Based on the license plate, the driver was identified as 62-year-old Nicholas Tartell of West Haven. Later that day, Tartell would be seen keying a Stamford police patrol car on Hoyt Street. When confronted, he allegedly screamed, "I hate cops," and began struggling with officers. Inside Tartell's car, police found a large hunting knife and a large amount of prescription drugs in his name. He was eventually placed under arrest. And a Glastonbury man was arrested for destroying books about celebrity Kim Kardashian at a Barnes & Noble store. He was arrested Monday afternoon by Glastonbury police for an incident that happened back in October when police say 74-year-old Carl Pua went to Barnes & Noble booksellers in Glastonbury and was caught on security cameras spreading a red liquid all over some Kim Kardashian books. The books, titled Selfish, contained large print photos of Kim Kardashian's selfies. 6 copies of the book were destroyed. He also left a lengthy note that he took the time to type out, explaining his dislike of Kardashian and people like her. After being booked, he was released on a promise to appear in court. Due to the connection to the famous Kardashian family, that arrest story has been picked up by national celebrity news outlets, including TMZ. And in other news, a disease that used to be prevented as part of a routine dog vaccine but went dormant has made a comeback and recently infected dogs in Easton and Monroe. Easton Animal Control Officer Kelly Fitch is advising all dog owners to get their pets vaccinated for leptospirosis, also known as lepto. Fitch said a 2-year-old dog passed away from lepto last week, and there have been several other cases in Easton and also in Monroe. People can catch it from their pets or if they're outside with bare feet. The disease is spread through the urine of infected animals such as raccoons, opossums, rodents, other wildlife, or livestock. No direct contact is required. Dogs running around off their property can catch it. Even dogs that stay within their electric fence can catch it if an infected animal comes inside. If in humans, it can cause a wide range of symptoms, some of which may be mistaken for other diseases. Some infected people, however, may have no symptoms at all, but without treatment. Leptospirosis can lead to kidney damage, meningitis, liver failure, respiratory distress, and even death. But you can get more on that story at eastoncourier.com. Switching gears now, we're going to throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Well, thank you, Kate. It's warmer out today with an expected high of 56 degrees this afternoon. Early morning cloud cover will make way for mostly sunny skies, but it will be increasingly getting windier this afternoon with breezes between 20 to 25 miles per hour, gusts reaching into the 40 mile per hour range. Chilly and windy overnight with temperatures in the low 30s heading into Thursday morning. Much of the same is expected tomorrow with mostly sunny skies and high winds. Again during the day, an expected high of 52 tomorrow before cooling down overnight in the low 20s with increasing cloud cover and snowfall beginning late and carrying into Friday morning. Cloudy and cold out on Friday. Early morning snowfall accumulating between 1 to 3 inches. Road conditions are expected to be slippery during the morning commutes, and there is a chance for freezing conditions later on in the afternoon and overnight as temperatures will be dropping down into the single digits before the weekend. We'll have more on that Friday storm coming up for you tomorrow. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, Frank, thanks so much. Well, we're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Eng takes a look back on this day in history. Frank will have your Nutmeg Sports Update, and we have a lot more local news coming up after this.
We told Dad he could have his office back if he sold 150 cars last month.
Deal's a deal.
Well, Dad, you did it. You get your office back.
Forget it. I'm having too much fun down here. My new goal, 160 cars. Wow. Folks, if you ever wanted a great price on a new Nissan, now is the time.
Right now, lease a 2017 Altima 2.5S for only $99 a month.
Isn't it time you got Millerized?
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Make your St. Patrick's Day truly authentic with a wee bit of real Irish food, proper Irish-style rashers, sausage, and soda bread right from Ireland. Put down the corned beef and grab a boiling bacon to have what they really eat in the Emerald Isle. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Whether you're looking for the freshest seafood, the perfect steak, or want to share delicious appetizers, look no further than the Stone's Throw in Seymour. Chef Peter Hom has more than 30 years of experience creating original recipes in his American eclectic style. Our dishes are made from scratch with fresh, local ingredients that pair perfectly with a seasonal craft beer, a signature cocktail, or your favorite wine. When you visit our Riverside location, you'll feel like you're on vacation when you're only a stone's throw from home. Visit us on Roosevelt Drive in Seymour or at stonesThrowCT.com. At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to this March 8th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Time to throw it over to Donald Ang to take a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, it would become a counterculture icon, but it began as a box in Germany. First, though, we go to 1917. On International Women's Day, protests in St. Petersburg marked the beginning of the February Revolution. Now, the revolution would topple the Tsarist autocracy and begin a disastrous civil war that would cost 3 million lives and result in the eventual formation of the Soviet Union. Now, you may be asking, why does a revolution that started today in 1917, is it called the February Revolution? Because 400 years after Pope Gregory, Russia had not adopted the Gregorian calendar. March 8th is February 23rd under the Julian calendar. To 1936, Daytona Beach and Road Course holds the first oval stock car race in the country. The 4-mile course ran south along Route A1A, then turned left onto the beach for the 2-mile run back to the north turn. Bill France Sr. finished 5th in the race and 2 years later took over running the event. The France family still runs NASCAR with an iron fist. To 1957, following the Supreme Court's ruling in Brown v. Board of Education that states could not discriminate against minorities in public schools, the state of Georgia's legislature adopts a joint resolution, the so-called Georgia Memorial, demanding that the 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution be declared null and void. In case you don't remember, the 14th Amendment granted equal protection under law to all citizens regardless of race. The 15th granted all races the right to vote. Georgians, apparently, still mad about those two 90 years after they were adopted. Finally, now we go to 1950, Stuttgart, Germany, for this.
Suppose you had a lot to carry. You'd get a box. And suppose you wanted to carry lots of people, too. You'd need seats. And maybe you'd work it so you could walk to the back to change a diaper or squash a rebellion. And windows? 21 at least. And why not a hole in the roof to let the sun in? Doors? Of course. 2 in front. 2 big ones here. And 1 here, in the back. Painted up real pretty. Put it on wheels. And you've got the whole idea behind the Volkswagen station wagon.
That is the Volkswagen Type 2 being introduced in 1950. In the U.S., it would be called the Bus. It would go on to become a symbol of the 60s American counterculture due to its utility, cargo capacity, you could put your camping gear and acoustic guitars in it, and the availability of used buses, very cheap, secondhand. As you look back in history for today, March 8th, and I'm Donald Ang.
All right, thanks so much, John. I think Don Draper would have liked that commercial. So.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
All right, well, back to local news. The Ridgefield Board of Education has outlined plans to change school start times to later following requests from parent groups. The Ridgefield Board of Education is moving to develop a project plan for Healthy School Start Times initiative in response to parent advocacy and what the board called review of associated scientific research reported by the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, as well as the National National Sleep Health Awareness Project. The Board of Ed has voted unanimously to develop an implementation plan for healthy school start times in the Ridgefield Public School District. Working with the administration, this initiative will be led by the BOE's Strategic Planning Committee. That Strategic Planning Committee will be dedicated to this initiative and lead the way to its implementation in the coming school year. But let's throw it over now to Frank Cornito for a Nutmeg Sports Update. I almost forgot what I was throwing it to you for.
Well, thank you, Kate. And there were several FCAC teams in action last night in both boys basketball and hockey. In hoops, both Trinity and Wilton were big winners in their first round state games. Trinity cruised past Somers by a final score of 86-48 and will now take on the number 11 seed Old Saybrook. That game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Wilton, powered by 18 three-pointers, took down Woodstock 73-35. They advance to play Newington tomorrow night, 7 o'clock from the Z. In boys hockey, the FCAC not as successful. Both Trumbull and Stamford West Hill falling last night in the Division II tournament. For the second straight year, Trumbull was eliminated by Guilford as the Indians scored 3 goals in the third period on their way to a 6-2 win. Stamford West Hill, who moved up to Division II this year after winning the D3 crown, fell 3-1 at the hands of Branford. So the season over for Stamford West Hill and Trumbull. But tonight in Division I, Ridgefield, New Canaan, Fairfield, Greenwich, Darien, and St. Joe's all in action as the puck drops on the Division I tournament with opening round games getting underway. In boys basketball, Danbury's at Notre Dame of West Haven, Darien travels to East Hartford, Fairfield Ward at NFA, and the HAN Network will be live at Trumbull when the number 6 seed Trumbull Eagles host the Fairfield Prep Jesuits in the second round of Class LL. In Class M, St. Joe's will travel to Tolland for a 7 p.m. tip-off against the Eagles. But we will have plenty more on all those games, and we'll be joined by the Ridgefield hockey coach, Sean Gallagher, coming off their first FCAC championship since 2003. All that coming up this afternoon on Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. That's going to do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. Let's send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, in other local news, State Representative Adam Dunsby, who's also the first selectman of Easton, is the sole signer of proposed House Bill number 5354, an act concerning freedom of information appeals. The bill's stated goal is to, quote, reduce frivolous complaints under the Freedom of Information Act. It would require a filing fee of $125 in some circumstances, refundable upon withdrawal of the complaint or upon the complainant prevailing. The fee would only apply for 2 or more complaints filed by the same person in a calendar year. Indigent upon individuals would be exempt. The bill would also make mediation, which is now voluntary, mandatory, and require the complainants to engage in good faith negotiations to resolve their complaint. Dunsby has been irked by some FOI complaints filed while he was first selectman and previously as a member and chairman of the Easton Board of Education. Well, we will certainly be talking more about that story on CT Pulse at 12:30. In other news, Help Our Military Heroes invites the public to attend its Spin-a-thon and Day of Fitness on Saturday, March 25th from 7:30 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon at The Edge at 100 Newtown Road in Danbury. Help Our Military Heroes is a national nonprofit based in Easton. Through donations, it's awarded 76 vans to some of the most severely wounded and injured post-9/11 service members. You can get your friends and family to help support the mission while you do the work. You can have them donate any amount, and their tax-deductible gift will go directly toward purchasing customized vans for wounded heroes. For more information, you can visit the Home of the Military Heroes Facebook page or Help Our Military Heroes Facebook page or helpourmilitaryheroes.org. More information also at thereadingpilot.com. And promoted as a means to give where you live, Fairfield County Giving Day is Thursday, March 9th. It will be an opportunity for people to financially support nonprofit organizations that benefit several local groups. You can get more information about Fairfield Giving Day at any of our HAN Network news sites. But we are going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to give a rundown of the top stories of the day after this.
On time, done right, safe and reliable. MrHandymanCT.com.
Let our satisfied customers tell it.
I have called Mr. Handyman for every reason, every occasion, every broken item, every leak. They have bailed me out on many occasions, and I would recommend them to anyone.
For any project, large or small.
MrHandymanCD.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now during the spring clearance event and Ram Truck Month, now through March 31st.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign your child up now for InSports Future Stars Basketball Academy, teaching skills on the basketball court for boys and girls ages 5 through 9. Visit InSportsCenters.com for more information on this 7-week program. And for adults, spots are also still available for our men's 30 and over and 40 and over leagues. Like and follow us on Facebook. I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, recapping some of the stories we're following today, including big news in Shelton this morning. The Planning and Zoning Commission there approved the massive town center at Shelter Ridge Development, drawing boos from opponents in the audience last night. About 60 residents opposed to that application filled the City Hall Council chambers for that vote, many of them carrying signs denouncing the project, one reading "Vote for Shelton, not for developers," another saying "Stop corporate greed." The Planning and Zoning approved the application to create a planned development district in a 4-2 vote. Shelter Ridge will include retail, medical, commercial, professional, and restaurant space, as well as a 375-unit apartment building. Some have called it the largest development project in Fairfield County. The 121-acre site is now owned by the Wells family and located mostly in a light industrial park zone with a small rear portion zoned for residential use. That property borders Bridgeport Avenue, Mill Street, and Buddington Road and is near Old Kings Highway. Project supporter and P&Z alternate Ned Miller said that he's never seen a project more scrutinized than this one, adding that he remembers when hysteria ensued when developer Bob Cinto first began pursuing development in the city. Commissioner Jimmy Tickey, however, voted no because he said Shelter Ridge would destroy open land enjoyed by generations of people, as well as negatively impact a hiking trail and Mill Street's scenic road designation. There's a lot more on that story at sheltonherald.com. And a 14-year-old Brian McMahon High School student was arrested Tuesday at the school on allegations of making an illustration perceived as threatening and including a list of students and staff that might be subject to that threat. Hearst Connecticut Media reports the unidentified juvenile was charged with 21 counts of breach of peace, apparently indicating 21 people were on the list. Lieutenant Terrence Blake, a police spokesman, said the school's administration contacted the Brian McMahon School Resource Officer about that matter. That school resource officer and investigators from the Special Victims Unit initiated an investigation and obtained the illustration and list. Blake said the student was arrested and that investigators determined that student did not have the means to carry out the threat. SVU investigators notified all of the individuals on the list. The student was later released to parents and will appear in Bridgeport Juvenile Court. And a 22-year-old man has been arrested in what West Haven police say was assault of a 3-year-old child. 22-year-old Esteban Nieves of Arch Street in New Haven was charged with first-degree assault, third-degree assault, as well as risk of injury to a minor and violation of probation. Nieves' arrest follows an investigation of physical abuse that began on February 25th. That evening, paramedics arrived at 370 Highland Street and transported a 3-year-old child to an emergency room, suffering from serious injuries. West Haven police said in a statement that trauma physicians concluded that the injuries were consistent with an assault. Detectives were assigned and developed information to substantiate criminal involvement. Nieves is being held behind bars pending his court arraignment. And a West Haven man was arrested in Stamford on March 5th after allegedly attempting to engage police in pursuit across multiple towns, including Darien. A Darien police officer attempted to stop a car traveling 55 miles per hour along the Boston Post Road, Ledge Road, and West Avenue during the morning of March 5th. That vehicle allegedly led the officer through a roundabout turn at the intersection of Post Road and Ledge before getting onto the highway, where the officer ended that pursuit. The car was again observed traveling on the Post Road, but the officer opted not to follow the driver, believing a high-speed chase would only increase the chance of danger. They notified neighboring law enforcement branches as to the car's description. Stamford police would later encounter the same driver on Hoyt Street and track the car to the city line. Based on the license plate, that driver was identified as 62-year-old Nicholas Tartell of West Haven. Later that day, Tartell was seen keying a Stamford police patrol car on Hoyt Street. When confronted, he allegedly screamed, "I hate the cops," and began struggling with officers. Inside Tartell's car, police found a large hunting knife and a large amount of prescription drugs in his name. He was eventually placed under arrest. And a Glastonbury man was arrested for destroying books about celebrity Kim Kardashian at a Barnes & Noble store. He was arrested Monday afternoon for an incident that happened back in October when police say 74-year-old Carl Pua went to Barnes & Noble booksellers in Glastonbury and was caught on security cameras spreading a red liquid all over some Kim Kardashian books. Those books, titled Selfish, contained large print photos of Kim Kardashian selfies. 6 copies of the book were destroyed. He also left a lengthy note that he took the time to type out, explaining his dislike of Kardashian and people like her. After being booked, he was released on a promise to appear in court. Due to the connection to the famous Kardashian family, that story has been picked up by national celebrity news outlets, including TMZ. Well, let's throw it over to Frank Granito for one final look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. Again, warmer out today. We're going to see an expected high of 56 degrees. Early morning cloud cover going to make way for sunny skies this afternoon. Increasingly windier later on. Breezes between 20 to 25 miles per hour. It'll be chilly and windy overnight as well, with temperatures falling into the low 30s. Much of the same expected tomorrow, with mostly sunny skies again and high winds during the day. A high of 52 before cooling down overnight into the low 20s. Increasing cloud cover and snowfall beginning, that's going to carry into Friday morning. Cloudy and cold out Friday. Snowfall accumulating between 1 to 3 inches. Roads will be very slippery, and there is a chance for freezing conditions in the afternoon and overnight as temperatures will drop all the way down into the single digits. But again, we will have more on that storm for the rest of this week on your coffee break. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break, but still a busy day. CT Polls coming up at 12:30. Myself and Josh Fisher are going to be talking about a recent town leader who said that since the states aren't, okay, 2 o'clock Nutmeg Sports, Frank, and then basketball tonight.
7 o'clock at Trumbull. That's going to do it. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow.